Watching the Las Vegas Raiders against the Atlanta Falcons Monday night wasn't fun. Nothing like the good old days when the Raiders dominated on Monday night. It was hard to watch. It was a lot like watching WNBA basketball. The product the Raiders are putting out there is so sloppy. Who's to blame for this? Is it fair to put all the blame on head coach Antonio Pierce for what the Raiders did this year and fire him? There are some out there that don't. About a week or so ago, former NFL All-Pro corner Richard Sherman said Pierce was set up to fail. Then just a few days ago, Adam Schefter says it isn't fair if the Raiders fire Pierce because of the quarterback situation. Was he really set up to fail? Did owner Mark Davis ever want Pierce to be the head coach? Okay, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything. I'm just asking some questions here. But one thing we all know is the Raiders weren't supposed to go 5-4 down the backstretch of last year. That messed a lot of things up. Usually you get the big rebuild with the top 5 pick. That's a big part of what makes your head coaching job attractive, but what Pierce did took the Raiders out of the top 10. Remember when former Raider head coach John Gruden came back? He traded receiver Amari Cooper and edge rusher Khalil Mack. That put the Raiders in position to get a top 5 pick and some extra first round picks. Did Davis prefer a more experienced head coach but know he would have had mutiny if he didn't hire Pierce? Was the job not attractive enough to someone he'd want because the Raiders only had the number 13 overall pick? Did that make Davis hire Pierce to a short contract with the intent of hiring the coach he wants later? Wouldn't Pierce have gotten a 4-year deal instead of 2 if Davis wanted him? Was this hired to show the team Pierce isn't the guy while creating an attractive situation for the next head coach with a high draft pick and lots of salary cap space? That's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. When Pierce took over as the interim head coach last year, he was free to do as he saw fit and he pressed all the right buttons. He promoted a couple guys from the bench to starters, signed one of his guys off the streets, and the team looked different, going 5-4. The following offseason, Pierce didn't make any decisions because Davis hired Tom Telesco to be the GM. Pierce wanted Cliff Kingsbury to be his offensive coordinator, but he and Telesco couldn't agree to a deal. I thought it was about money, but I keep hearing it was about years, and that makes sense. Kingsbury isn't going to join the staff of a coach that only got a 2-year deal. That means Pierce has 0 job security, so he wants no part of that. Then Pierce had to scramble to hire Luke Getsy with all the good candidates gone. Then, ouch, he gets Gardner Minshew as his quarterback. How the hell is he supposed to succeed with that? Yeah, it was and still is an absolute disaster. The injuries on defense happened on their own, but do you think the other things that happened are a coincidence or done to sabotage? And bottom line, is it fair to fire Pierce with the disaster they gave him? Okay, I know the 2-12 Raiders don't look like a great situation right now. The defense is hanging in there with all the injuries, but the offense is horrible. Scott Turner has done a good job since the Raiders fired Getsy, but I don't care if Bill Walsh came back to life to coach the Raiders. The offense wouldn't be any good. They don't have a quarterback. Come on. Minshew, a disappointing Aiden O'Connell, and Desmond Ridder. Excuse my grammar, but ain't nobody going nowhere with that. That's why Sherman said Pierce was set up to fail. This offseason, the Raiders will be an attractive destination for a head coach, though. They'll have a great defense with the healthy Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, and Decorion Bennett. Oh, Nate Hobbs missed a lot of time this year, too. They'll also have a top 3 draft pick and $100 million in salary cap space to get a quarterback and anything else they need on offense. Head coaches don't usually take over winning teams, so this is as good a situation as a head coach can ask for. The cupboard is not bare. Therefore, rebuilding the Raiders is not something that would take forever to do. The Raiders will get the number 1 overall pick if they lose out, and personally, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Shadur Sanders and the Raiders have a date with destiny. So now you have to ask yourself, do you think new minority owner Tom Brady trusts Pierce with him and whoever they spend that $100 million in salary cap space on? Or do you think he turns to a guy with more experience? I heard Brady's still tight with Mike Vrabel. Vrabel has a career record of 54-45 and went to the playoffs 3 times in 6 years with the Tennessee Titans, too. Plus, he knows Vrabel would hire Josh McDaniels or Brian Daboll if the New York Giants fire him this offseason to be the offensive coordinator. That would give Brady a chance to continue to develop Sanders under the same Erhard Perkins system he won 6 of his 7 Super Bowls with. Defense coordinator Patrick Graham is a big Bill Belichick disciple too, so Vrabel would already have a defensive staff intact. Add to that the fact that the Raiders would have $100 million to spend, and that would be a dream job for Vrabel, right? Do you think he would take another job over that one? There are so many questions when it comes to the situation with Pierce. Did he get a fair chance to shape the Raiders into what he wanted? The injuries he had on defense and the quarterbacks he had on offense were brutal, but Pierce is 2-12 right now, not 5-9, so it might be fair or it might not be fair to fire him after the season. One thing I can't help but wonder is if Davis wanted to hire him in the first place. Remember, Davis is the same guy that didn't hire Rich Bisaccia after he led the Raiders to the playoffs, so do you really think he was gung-ho to hire Pierce after going 5-4? Did Davis hire Pierce because of pressure? Do you think he set Pierce up to fail so he could do what he wants now? Thank you for watching. See you next time.